The Next Generation looked so sleek, calm, and in control on screen, right? But would you believe it was nowhere near like that behind the scenes? It was a world full of unexpected cast firings, last-minute script rewrites, and terribly painful uniforms. This wasn't just a sci-fi revival, it was a constant battle to make everything perfect. In this video, we'll dive into some shocking secrets, from the actors' physical pain to crazy script ideas that almost made it to air. Get ready, because these facts are going to blow your mind. Did you know those seemingly futuristic and perfect Starfleet uniforms were actually a total nightmare for the actors in the first 2 seasons of The Next Generation? They were made of spandex, especially the jumpsuits, and cut smaller than the actors' actual sizes, causing terrible pressure on their backs, shoulders, and chests. Actor Patrick Stewart suffered from nerve pain due to the constant pressure on his body, and Jonathan Frakes even needed regular chiropractic adjustments to ease the discomfort. The actors constantly pleaded with the production team for a change, and luckily by season 3, the uniforms were redesigned with a softer wool material and a convenient 2-piece structure, making it much easier for them to breathe. Data always looked perfect on screen, with flawless golden skin. But few know that to achieve that look, actor Brent Spiner had to go through an extremely arduous makeup process, even literally peeling his face off. In the first season, the makeup team used a harsh metallic paint and adhesive that caused Spiner's skin to crack, the paint to constantly run, and his pores to clog. As a result, he constantly suffered from rashes, swollen eyes, and unbelievably severe breakouts, making Spiner joke that he looked more like a test subject than a futuristic android.
I have decided to allow my child to choose its own sex and appearance.
Riker's relaxed move of swinging his leg over the back of a chair became a subtle, iconic gesture, a signature move for him in Star Trek: The Next Generation, which audiences absolutely loved. But few would guess that this iconic gesture stemmed from chronic pain that actor Jonathan Frakes had suffered for years before TNG even started filming. The standard Starfleet chairs on set were so stiff that it was impossible to quickly and comfortably sit down, forcing Frakes to adapt by swinging his leg over the chair, creating a unique style that later became legendary. This is a testament to how even the smallest gestures can hide a surprising story behind them. The Star Trek: The Next Generation filming schedule truly crushed the actors, lasting 16 to 18 hours a day, leaving them exhausted and just wanting to rest. Few know that LeVar Burton, who played Geordi LaForge, found a secret way to snatch a few minutes of sleep right on set, especially in Season 1 when he had fewer lines than other characters.
A cosmic string emanates a characteristic set of subspace frequencies as atomic particles decay along its event horizon.
He used Geordi's signature visor to nap without anyone noticing. Ironically, LeVar's now narrating for the Calm app, an app that helps people sleep better. Which Star Trek: The Next Generation character is your favorite? Comment yes if you're a hardcore Star Trek fan, or share your thoughts below. Whenever the Enterprise doors slid open, their characteristic whoosh sound became an instantly recognizable symbol in the Star Trek universe, instantly conjuring images of deep space. However, you'd be surprised to know that on set, these doors were dead silent and clumsy, making no sound at all. Their actual sounds were not at all space-age and considerably louder than you'd imagine. The actors were even coached to hold their lines clearly so the post-production team could easily remove the real noise and replace it with the familiar whoosh we all love. Behind some of The Next Generation's most memorable and beloved episodes, you'd discover that they were created not in calm but in pure panic. The writer's room was often in chaos, with countless ideas pitched, trashed, and rewritten at dizzying speeds. Some episodes, like The Bonding and The Offspring, were finished in less than 48 hours, an incredible feat under time pressure. Scripts were even frequently changed during filming, showing the unbelievable flexibility of the creative team. The holodeck, a legendary feature that allowed the crew to realize their every dream in a virtual world, is one of the most beloved elements of Star Trek: The Next Generation. However, few know that when TNG was in development, the holodeck was actually on the producers' chopping block. The reason was simple. The writers might have loved it, but the producers only saw its huge budget and impracticality when brought to the screen. Executives even wanted to pull the plug completely after the episode The Big Goodbye, but the writers pushed back hard, arguing that the holodeck was a fantastic storytelling gateway ultimately saving it and keeping it for audiences. When Star Trek The Next Generation premiered, Gene Roddenberry, the great creator of the Star Trek universe, returned to a leadership role, at least on paper. However, behind the glamour, his influence significantly waned due to poor health and constant clashes with the writers. The creative team gradually pulled back, and the writers even had to rewrite episodes behind his back because he had become a ghost on his own bridge, no longer in as much control as before. Are you super curious? Don't leave yet, because even more sensational secrets are waiting for you to discover. Initially, Worf was only seen as a minor character, a curiosity, and a quiet presence in the Next Generation's pilot episode, seemingly without much potential. In fact, in the first drafts of Season 1, he didn't survive and was considered the most expendable, supposedly dying in a security breach for dramatic effect. But actor Michael Dorn brought a unique, quiet gravitas to the role, making Worf stand out among the characters and ultimately becoming Star Trek's longest-running character to appear in multiple different series. The changes in Klingon cranial ridges between Star Trek series have always been a point of contention and curiosity for fans. Did you notice that Worf's original head in the first season looked distinctly different from later seasons? The reason behind this change is truly astonishing. His original prosthetic was stolen between the first 2 seasons. The incident wasn't immediately discovered, and it's rumored that an actor might have taken it as a souvenir, forcing the production team to create a new head and take the opportunity to improve its look for subsequent seasons. When news broke that Whoopi Goldberg, a huge Hollywood star, wanted to be in Star Trek The Next Generation, the producers initially thought it was a joke. But no, she personally called the production team for a very profound reason. She grew up watching the original series and saw how Michelle Nichols changed her life. Whoopi once said, "There was a black woman on TV and she wasn't a maid." A powerful statement. She didn't demand any special privileges, she just wanted to be a part of the show. And eventually, the team created the impressive character of Guinan specifically for her. The beautiful shots of the Enterprise drifting through the stars in The Next Generation initially looked dreamy and a bit hazy in an artistic way. Want to know why? They were actually filmed through an actual fish tank. This was because the special effects budget was extremely tight at the time, and digital simulation technologies were still rudimentary, not yet capable of creating complex shots. Visual effects supervisor Rob Legato came up with a genius idea. He poured water, ink, and glitter into the tank, then filmed it under specific lighting to simulate deep space, creating this unique fish tank magic. You might assume that space shots from inside the ship, like from Captain Picard's Ready Room or 10 Forward, were done with modern digital techniques. But the truth is surprisingly simple. The static starfield you see through the small windows was actually a heavy black curtain on rollers with small silver metallic pieces sewn into it. This curtain would slowly move in the background of scenes to create a subtle motion effect. Another interesting detail is that in Season 1, the stars didn't move at all because the curtain was too heavy, making it difficult to operate. During the production of Star Trek The Next Generation, the filmmakers employed a very clever strategy to keep costs as low as possible: recycled studio props from the original Star Trek series. A prime example is the lights on the ceiling of the legendary Enterprise D transporter pad. Did you know they were actually lights used in the floor of the original series? The designers decided to use any existing materials that didn't look too outdated because Paramount still had most of their old props in storage. When Patrick Stewart first came to Los Angeles to audition for Captain Picard, he brought one suitcase and a 6-week lease. Convinced that The Next Generation would only last that long, he even didn't bother moving out of his LA hotel for the entire first season because he thought he'd be going home soon. Paramount initially couldn't imagine a bald man leading a space franchise, and Gene Roddenberry only agreed to let him audition if he read the script with a wig.
I want to tell you about my detective story.
However, the casting director called that wig a dead animal on his head, and ultimately the wig was scrapped, and Patrick Stewart's bald head became a symbol of truth over image for fans.
Morning, darling.
Initially, the Ferengi were considered the main recurring antagonists of The Next Generation, expected to become formidable foes. However, the reality proved otherwise. Audiences just found them too goofy to take seriously, making them unable to be a real threat. This forced the producers to go back to the drawing board and led to the creation of one of Star Trek's most iconic enemies, the Borg. What's even more interesting is that Armin Shimmerman, who later played Quark, a beloved Ferengi in Deep Space Nine, once played one of the first Ferengi in TNG and considers it an important part of his character's origin story. Actress Gates McFadden, who played Doctor. Beverly Crusher suddenly disappeared after Season 1 of The Next Generation, replaced by Doctor. Pulaski leaving many fans wondering. The reason was that McFadden clashed with producers over how female characters were being written, especially Troy, whom she felt wasn't being properly developed. She protested and was let go, but something unexpected happened. Fans noticed and letters poured in, and cast members like Patrick Stewart spoke up in her favor. As a result, by Season 3, fan pressure worked, and Crusher was brought back, becoming proof that fans could change the Enterprise's course. One unusual thing during The Next Generation's production was that two main characters were fully developed, even cast, and then suddenly swapped roles. Initially, Marina Sirtis was cast as Yar and Denise Crosby was to be Troy, but just 2 days before filming began, they unexpectedly switched roles.
He's dead! You killed him! No!
Another interesting detail is that the character of Yar was initially called Lieutenant Hernandez and was inspired by the tough character of Vasquez from the movie Aliens. The android character Data is famous for his comprehensive journey, exploring the nature of humanity, from learning to perceive to understanding emotions more deeply. According to actor Brent Spiner, this deep character development was not a happy accident or coincidence, but actually a plan laid out from the very beginning. Data was originally conceived to be a comedic character, frequently misinterpreting human nuances, creating many awkward and hilarious situations.
The unhatched eggs of a large scaleless...
Later, Data.
He betrayed the colonists, and would have betrayed the Enterprise as well, had I not...
Gene Roddenberry based Data on an android character he had written for another show, with the premise that his initial betrayal, or perceived flaw deviation, would change as he gradually learned about himself. Star Trek: The Next Generation fans absolutely adored Spot the Cat, the adorable feline that brought warmth and rare moments of everyday life to Data. However, you'd be surprised to know that behind the scenes, Spot was actually a menace that caused real chaos on set. The truth is, multiple cats played Spot because none of them would behave and cooperate for long periods. One cat even scratched Brent Spiner, and Spiner himself famously disliked cats, even joking that working with Spot was harder than working with humans. Directors had to use every trick in the book, like fish oil, toys, and blue screens, to make the cat appear calm and cooperative on screen. And now for the weirdest fact, a detail few can believe. Deanna Troy's role was mercifully rewritten from an initial idea of a very horny four-breasted alien. Sources swear I'm 1000% serious about the four-breast thing, showing this is no joke. This is truly a wildly unique and unbelievable detail that only those with deep insider knowledge could know. A testament to the crazy ideas that once existed during the show's initial development. The Next Generation not only continued the great legacy of Star Trek, but redefined it, elevating the sci-fi genre to new heights. And behind every glittering phaser, every neat uniform, is a story full of surprises you haven't seen until now. From the nagging pains the actors endured to the chaos in the writer's room, this show overcame every challenge to become a great icon of cinema. Every weird detail, every almost moment, contributed to creating a rich and vibrant, timeless universe. Hopefully, these facts have given you a deeper insight into the extraordinary journey of the Enterprise and the people who made it. Keep exploring, because the final frontier still holds countless unknowns waiting for you.